thought I'd record a little off-the-cuff video, or maybe it's more accurately a monologue about kind of an annoying thing I've been seeing probably forever, really, with involving trading and like people trading and just like the whole social trading phenomenon. Uh, yeah. While I do that, I'll just take care of some routine things in World of Warcraft, I guess. Yeah. So, when there was a certain point where when I was learning day trading stuff, I used social trading as sort of a way to keep me more focused and motivated. Now, that's not that's not what fundamentally was underpinning my focus and motivation, but you know, I actually liked and still do like trading stuff, and I think that it's just something that would be a more natural fit for me. I have no other way of generating income that could possibly even compare in terms of stress versus no stress, uh, having to be awake at a certain time versus not having to be awake at a certain time, the potential to invest small amounts of time for massive returns. There's really no other option for me. The way society is structured and the way people behave and the way business is structured and neoliberal capitalism and all this other shit. It I've been backed into a corner, and this is my only way of doing well. And it's kind of funny because that's kind of like my only way of doing well in World of Warcraft too. Because as you can see right now, while I'm talking, I'm not even paying attention to the screen. What's happening? Okay, you see a bunch of fucking uh, things being automatically collected in this mailbox. Hundreds of mails. Okay, and now look, I'm gonna hit a couple fucking buttons. Boom. A whole shitload of auctions are being posted. Okay? And, you know, I don't think about it. It doesn't weigh on my mind. I don't care about it. It literally does not occupy my thoughts at all for even a second of my day until I actually open up the fucking game. I open up the fucking client. I log in. I log into these fucking auctioneers. It just doesn't weigh on my mind at all. And it's autopilot income. Don't be fooled by the gold you see here. I always send it off to characters and then just spend it. I don't just get the gold for no reason. I get it because it's useful to me. It enhances the way that I play the game. I like it. Which one should I load next? Yes. So, in the same way, now, day trading is a little different than this because this shit operates on a very long time frame. And, it's like super, super high yield, high profit percentage yield profiteering. Like this Glyphmaster character, I'm selling shit. Like, it takes pennies on the dollar to create it, and then you sell it for like 100, 200 times more. Like, literally. Okay, most of the auctions are up on this character. Yeah. There, I'll just open up another client as well. Oh shit, I hit the wrong button. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I can just open up a few of these things at once. But anyway, this is kind of important to the point. This is germane to the point because I developed these methods over probably a decade now. And I also use these methods in Diablo 3 to generate about $1,200 of income a month from the Real Money Auction House while it was still in existence. And I did it 1 hour a day. Very boring, exact same shit every day. Nothing exciting. In fact, I got so bored with it that I just stopped. Before they removed the auction house, I just stopped. Like, I was just sick of it. Because, you know, its ability to provide a large income was capped severely anyway. So all I could do was make it more efficient, and that's what I did. And it's, to some extent, it's the same with my methods in the World of Warcraft auction house. You know, its ability to pump a certain amount of profits per unit of time is limited. So all you can do is be as efficient as possible, and you know, maybe tap as many markets as possible. And other than that, there's not much you could do. And that's fine because it provides a huge amount of income relative to the investment of time and effort. But yeah, so oh shit, what do I have open now? See, I'm not even paying attention to this crap, so I don't know what's going on. See, I'm just getting fired up talking about this. But you know, now we get back to trading. Social trading. What is social trading, and why do I consider it such a form of degeneracy? Okay, there are several different aspects to social trading. There's Twitter. There's Twitter trading, and it may be connected to other aspects as well. This is pretty simple to understand. It's just people with Twitter accounts that post about their trading, post about their opinions on trading, post about their feelings on trading, posting their sentiments and opinions on other traders and the way other traders approach trading. They might be posting their trades. They might be posting their P&Ls. They might be posting all sorts of things, screenshots, videos. Many of them are posting affiliate links to services. So it's a form of income to them. Many of them are pumping their own services. So it's an even bigger form of income to them. And you know, whether these, in some cases, these services are legit, sometimes they're not. Sometimes the affiliate links are for things that are more legit, less legit. And if they are legit, some may have more or less merit. Sometimes this merit is subjective based on how somebody's trading style and other things. Sometimes there's a more objective difference in, you know, just how much merit you know, these services or whatever may have. You know, either way, at the end of the day, for some in Twitter, it's purely economic. It's purely advertising, purely marketing. It's for the income. Now, for others, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. For some, it's just a place to vent about various things. For some, in my case, I use it sort of just as a... I originally wanted to use it just to sort of give myself a little bit of extra sort of low motivation to sort of, you know, make videos and stuff, because that kind of forces me to review things more. But, yeah, and, you know, I figured it provided more engagement, like sort of the same kind of engagement that social media gives you, which is like, you know, it's very tempting to engage in it again and again, and it's a really bad habit because it's all a bunch of like really just insipid, surfacey, you know, low attention span bullshit that just caters to, you know, just complete lack of any depth of, you know, any type of thought or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's just a bunch of largely baseless sentiments that spread around like memes and mind viruses. But at the same time, it can still be useful, just like anything else, right? And you know what I'll do? I'll do some undercut scans just for fun, because I think most of these, yeah, I'll do that. Oh, I can open up another one too, but I don't think my computer's fast enough to do it while recording video. Yeah. So, you know, with this Twitter shit, another thing about Twitter is that you can only post these really short messages, so everything is going to be even more compacted and even less have less nuance to it, and it's going to be even more overly generalized and more uh, oversimplified and more catering to just very narrow-minded, uh, like just easily summarizable viewpoints and sentiments and such. And it, you know, and anyone who's seen this enough, you know, they've seen this. It's pretty obvious to see how that works. But, you know, taking it back to trading, um, Twitter is an interesting thing. So for me, it's kind of just a timeline of stuff I've done and videos I've made and thoughts I've had on trading and things like that. And in the early time, it was also a place where I vented a lot about socioeconomic things, where just, you know, all the unnecessary enslavement and subjugation that occurs because of, you know, various, you know, all sorts of shit. But, you know, basically the way people's lives are just snuffed out completely in order to achieve enough income of whatever currency is used where they live, while people who operate at a socioeconomically higher level than them have all the freedom, have all the time to do whatever they want with their day, while the underclass serves them because they need to pay their bills on time, and they're getting paid barely enough to do that. Or if they're getting paid well, they have to give up their entire lives to do so. And that's just basically the way anything below like the upper middle class works. So anyway, the reason I needed to use Twitter and stuff like that as motivation was because my living situation was just so miserable, and I was and still am chronically sleep deprived because of the way that I sleep. It does not work with having to be places at certain times. So having a job destroys my sleep, even if it's just 3 days a week. And just, you know, just an absolute miserable existence of poverty and humiliation, and, you know, just insult to injury, you know, not having most of any needs met except like the most basic ones, and, you know, just being kicked while you're down. And when someone's in a state like that of just and, you know, and a lot of it was my own issues and bad habits, just completely destroying my energy, completely destroying my health over decades of time, and everything, you know, just getting, I was, you know, just being like trapped under a heavy rock or something. You know, I just needed anything I could to keep me moving forward, because, you know, I just kind of felt like, even though I had a lot of intrinsic motivation to move forward with trading, a lot of times it's just too tempting to just forget about everything and just uh, drown it out in whatever short-term thing, you know, provides me a little bit of peace and reduces the anxiety. Whether it's computer games, which I don't see as a bad thing, I think they're fantastic, or whether it's just fucking watching YouTube videos and shit, which is, you know, largely a bunch of fucking bullshit after a while. You know, I just need a little something extra to get me motivated, and Twitter was just one of the things. You know, interacting with people on Twitter, presenting my own shit on Twitter, whatever. That was just one of the things. What are the other things that are involved with social trading? Well, okay, how about chat rooms? Chat rooms are a big part of social trading, right? And now I have been part of a couple paid chat rooms before. Have almost nothing but good things to say about both of them. One of them I lost interest in because it was for trading small caps, and even though it's fantastic, I just lost interest in small caps. And the other one, which is trick trades, is simply too expensive for me. You know, I cannot justify paying for it. I really can't. And I'm lucky enough that I don't really need to be part of anything like that anymore. Even if it could make things easier, I just, you know, it's not going to make things easier, because what is required for me to generate that like 150 or 300 a month or more is way more. It's just not enough bang for my buck. I don't need it. I just don't need it. But, you know, so there's paid chat rooms, and usually paid chat rooms are, you know, they can be pretty nice, but some of them are misleading, some of them are bullshit. And then there's free chat rooms. Now, a lot of people say that the free chat rooms are almost entirely all bullshit or scams or pump and dump operations, or, you know, front running bullshit. I wouldn't know. I've never been part of chat rooms like that. I'm in several free chat rooms right now, and they're all legit as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I think they're better than a lot of paid chat rooms, most likely. But yeah, so there's chat rooms, and chat rooms can really add a lot of motivation and focus to your trading if you're trying to get into it, because, I mean, who doesn't like just chatting it up with a bunch of motherfuckers, you know, for several hours straight about what's happening on the market, right? I mean, you can really, that shit really can help focus. I didn't need to reload this thing, but I just thought I'd do it. Yeah, so that's another aspect. And, you know, why would I want to engage in the chat room? Well, it really helps me look at the markets, because sometimes I would spend entire days just watching the market, watching the charts, talking about what's happening on the charts, talking about what I think is going to happen, talking about where I think a good trade could be, what a good stop would be, etc., etc., talking about my thesis, and other people doing all the same thing for like 8 hours straight. Sometimes they'll even do it pre-market, sometimes they'll do it after market. In some of these chat rooms, I mean, holy shit, dude, like if you have problems concentrating, or if you have problems just getting yourself to focus on something, these chat rooms, I mean, holy shit. You know, that's like a sledgehammer of focus. You know, the time flies by. You'll lose an entire day without noticing. Spending the entire day watching the price action and talking about it. That's a fantastic thing for somebody who, you know, whose life is just destroying them so much that, like, they can barely, you know, they don't even have the will to, like, you know, brush their teeth or take a shower, you know. That's a really good thing. But at the same time, I believe it's a form of massive fucking degeneracy. But I think it's maybe a necessary degeneracy to go through for some time, you know, to get the job done. You know, before you can move on to the next level. And what are the other forms of social trading that are out there? There's YouTube. YouTube is another form of social trading, and once again, many people do it for many different reasons. Some people do it to help themselves learn. Some people do it to promote their service. Some people do it to promote other people's services and present affiliate links. Some people do it to vent. Some people do it just as a sounding board. Some people do it to soapbox.
Light be with you.
And once again, YouTube videos can be very useful, because it's kind of fun to record a video and then watch it again and hear myself talk. And sometimes it's very funny to hear myself talk about something. Sometimes, you know, there's some kind of sick pleasure someone gets in endless self-reflection. One thing it really helps do is really sort of consolidate and make solid some of the things I've been thinking about and considering. And if I record it in a video and then watch the video a few times, it really, really, really just sort of, it hammers that shit in, and, like, you know, because that's kind of the way that I tend to learn things, is through just relentless repetition and just endless, you know, ad nauseum repetition and endless ad nauseum considerations and observations. And talking to myself about it forever. That's what I did in, the World of Warcraft auction house right now. Like, this shit came from a period of just obsessive and relentless repetition and ad nauseum bullshit. And a lot of it was unnecessary. A lot of it was way too much. A lot of it was degenerate fucking bullshit. But I didn't know that this was the first time I'd ever gotten into something like that. So, I didn't learn those lessons until, months or even sometimes years of unnecessary misery and effort being expended moving forward in something such as profiteering in the World of Warcraft auction house. And this was on retail World of Warcraft. This was on lots of different private servers. I went through a period where I was a degenerate fucking cunt, and I was obsessed with it. I couldn't stop talking about it. I wanted to find people to talk about it with, and what's funny is I couldn't find anybody to talk about it with. The only people who could understand me were the competition, and those people didn't want to talk to me because they fucking hated me, and I fucking hated them. It's like they didn't want to reveal their secrets to me. I didn't want to reveal my secrets to them, which is kind of funny because at a certain point, I actually got to a point where I liked having competition. I like there being competition because, it helps validate that a market is, it's legitimate. Because if there's no competition, you got to start asking yourself, just how active is this economy? Because if there's no competition, the economy is probably not very active. And there's so many benefits to having competition. And none of it has anything to do with being your best or some fucking bullshit like that. No. It has everything to do with exploiting it for profit. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. And on this server, there's some competition. There's some bitter competition actually in the glyph market. Oh my god, just motherfucking no-life motherfuckers who are on 18 hours a day and shit. For some reason, they all disappeared lately, or they stopped trying to undercut me by pennies, and now they're just they're just hurting themselves by undercutting me so heavily that I don't even bother undercutting them. I just post at full price, and still make sales. Maybe they just gave up, or maybe they just decided that it's not worth the time, and they'll just beat me by undercutting me so heavily. And they may not be concerned with beating me. They might just be concerned with setting things up so that they get more sales with less effort. Because if they go up against me, or if they go up against any no-life motherfuckers, what's going to happen is they're going to have to, at least in their minds, they're going to have to constantly undercut, cancel their auctions, repost them at, a tiny undercut in order to make sales. Me personally, all the undercutting happens automatically. I just leave this shit running. I pay it no mind. I mean, I do pay it some mind if I have the time and it amuses me to do so. But I've learned over time that it's not really that big of a deal. Sometimes it can be in the moment, but over longer periods of time, it really doesn't make a difference. I think I already did a scan on this, didn't I? I don't fucking remember. No, I'll do one more just in case. Yeah, but yeah, so this is going all over the place, but I don't give a shit. If anyone doesn't like that, go fuck yourself. But yeah, so those are 3 forms of social trading: YouTube, chat rooms, whether premium or free, and Twitter. What's another form of social trading? Gotta think about that. I don't know, podcasts, I guess. The media. Although to me that's more of just a gigantic apparatus for manipulation than anything else, but whatever. So yeah, social trading. So for me, social trading has always been, first and foremost, a way of sort of hijacking or exploiting my lowest compulsions to sort of trick them into serving some higher objectives. And I wouldn't consider them, you know, in an objective way, I wouldn't say that they're very high objectives, but you know, just considering my situation and how trading is like the only really good choice for me in terms of generating an income, uh, it is a higher objective than, you know, just like feeding the need to have some fucking brain candy sugar rush of fucking, you know, checking Twitter for more posts or some bullshit like that. So in a way, it helped sort of, you know, fool my brain, my primitive brain into getting more engaged with trading shit, because now I can talk to people about it, I can make Twitter posts about it, I can record videos about it and post them. And even though nobody gives a shit, like it's predictable. You know, on fucking Twitter, nobody likes any of my shit, nobody cares about any of my shit, and it's predictable because I can see like what tends to get more social approval and what doesn't. And a lot of what I say is just like someone looks at it and they're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like it doesn't even translate, right? And whatever, I don't give a shit about that. You know, it's been too many decades of that kind of shit for me to even give a shit anymore. It just is what it is. I just approach things very differently for some reason, or I don't know. But either way, regardless, I still have the same mental mechanisms that other people have, the same brain mechanisms that other people have, so I can still use it for that purpose. So, did I succeed in using social trading to get what I want? Yes, I did, because it's taken me this far, and it's taken me far enough to the point where now I'm at a point where I pretty much have a pretty good idea of the setups I'm doing, the type of shit that I look at, and the types of trades and the types of instruments to be trading. And now all I need are a few months to just refine and repeat and, you know, and test and all this other stuff with just pure paper trading. I'm done with the real money trading. I'm done with, you know, I needed to do that. I needed to sort of squeeze a few out just to, you know, have a frame of reference for the psychology of it and the behavioral aspects of it. And now I'm done with that. Now I'm ready to run it like a business, which just means, you know, all the learning parts, all the testing parts happen in the simulator. And, you know, that's not to say that there may not be things to learn about the real money aspect later, but until a business plan, i.e. a trading strategy, has been verified, it will not be deployed into real money. And why would it? It's silly. It's silly to do so. If you cannot even be profitable over a long period of time in a simulator, why the fuck would you use real money? It makes absolutely no sense. If you can't even mechanically succeed in trading, what the fuck makes you think you can monetarily succeed in trading, okay? Yeah, there might be more emotions. Yeah, there might be more psychology. But if you can't even do it mechanically, what the fuck makes you think you can do it monetarily, right? So, you know, basically I'm at a point where my intrinsic motivation to move forward has almost entirely swallowed up any need for, you know, extra types of motivation. And once again, I'd like to make very clear that I didn't need these external motivators for trading stuff because I have any type of natural aversion to trading or something like that, or because I had some kind of like I was putting it off, like doing homework or something. No, actually I liked it, and I still like it, and I like it even more. But the problem is, let's see how much time is left on these things. Yay, okay. No. The problem is, my problem was that I was just literally so, what's the word? Downtrodden by my situation, that all of that natural enthusiasm and energy and all the shit going off in my brain was just being snuffed out by just being completely tired, dead tired, sleep deprived, depressed, irritable, angry, enraged, fucked with, etc., etc., being unable to operate at all in any way. Oh, how cute! I made a few sales. Well, whatever. But how much income has this? Is a relatively new auctioneer I have. It's kind of like a little semi-experimental, but semi-not experimental. Let's see how many sales it's generated so far. Yeah, this has only generated 38,000 gold, and not all of it is profit. It's probably like, you know, maybe 70 to 90% of that is profit. Yeah, this is a relatively new auctioneer. And yeah, as you can see here, I don't make sales often, but when I do, the payday is so massive that it's worth it, because this black pearl I got for like 100 gold. This golden pearl I got for like 13 gold on average. This accurate scope cost me like 40 gold to make or something like that. I bought these for like 70 gold. I bought these for like practically nothing, like pennies. You know, all this shit I get for pennies on a dollar. You know, it's. And I mean, I don't even need to source this shit. I have such a big inventory. I literally just auto post, repost, and you know, just collect over time. This is more time. I'm actually spending more time on the auction house than I usually do, just for this video. And sometimes I do really get into it and fired up about it, and you know, enjoy it and spend a lot of time doing it, just because, you know, it is something I do enjoy. But I've been doing it for so long, and it's so developed that, like, you know, I don't need to do that for it to serve me as I require. Yeah. But anyway, God, what was I talking about? So yeah, like you know, now I don't need the social trading anymore. And now the thing about social trading is, though, and maybe it sounds like I got what I wanted out of it, and now I'm just like poo-pooing it and, you know, throwing it away like a used up oily rag or something like that. You know, now that I'm done with it, and you know, I don't need it anymore. And maybe that's true to some extent, but the fact is, even from the very beginning, I was recognizing just the massive degeneracy of it. But what is this degeneracy I'm talking about even? Well, to talk about that, I'm going to talk about the degeneracy I saw in gold making in World of Warcraft, the degeneracy I saw in profiteering in Diablo 3 to make money off the real money auction house, and then I'm going to bring it over, and then I'm going to talk about some of the degeneracy I saw in people talking about the real estate business, some of whom were millionaires, some of whom were not, some were hopefuls, some were, you know, kind of in the middle, and just the degeneracy of like business in general, I guess, and the social aspect of it. Now in World of Warcraft, I've never been able to find people who I could really talk much about auction house shit with, because the very few people who did talk about it, or who are successful in generating gold for themselves in this game, I found them to be insufferable cunts, and I couldn't really identify with like their sentiments and motivations regarding obtaining gold. For me, obtaining gold was always just a matter of investing as little time as possible and effort to get what I want in the game. Because I get that gold because I find that spending gold on shit, in most cases, not all, is the easiest way to get the shit the supplies that I want to do the shit that I want. And these other guys, all they did was they amassed these massive fortunes of gold, and all they did was like max out the gold on each of their characters to 214,000, and then they could have bragging rights that they have like an entire account full of gold max characters or something like that, which just shows how small-minded they are and stupid, because you can store like billions of gold in a guild vault. So why are you even using your characters as gold warehouses? That's stupid. And secondly, like, why are they even doing this? Like, for them, it's just like some entire game where all they care about is amassing the biggest quantity of gold, so that just so they can be, arrogant and act like they're smarter than everyone else, or like they've accomplished something. That's the vibe I got from them. I felt like they just kind of, and that's the same vibe I get from like a lot of successful business people, a lot of people who've done well for themselves in quote unquote life, in business, in their careers. They're just these arrogant fucking blowhards. It's like once their income or net worth has gotten high enough, they feel like somehow they've been granted some level, some status above the general population that makes them superior. That they can talk down to them about morality, about work ethic, about this, about that, and it's just absolutely disgusting. It's just disgusting, because a lot of these people, like, they're not even as good as getting gold as I am, and some of them are better, and that's fine. But it's like they just revolve their entire mentalities around it, and like, you know, all they care about is like just winning the game and being superior in, amassing the largest amount of gold. And why? I mean, what's the fucking point? And I get it. It can be enjoyable. It can be fun. And it's fun. It's fun to compete sometimes. It's fun to talk shit. I get that. But they just never stop. They're just so one dimensional. Like this, for me, this shit's just like a tiny little routine that I engage in from time to time, depending on how much gold I want to spend in the game. So yeah, here are some successful auctions. I don't collect these. I only collect them once in a while, but I have to collect them in 30 days because they expire in 30 days. So 200, 200, 200. These glyphs cost almost nothing to make. I didn't even make most of these glyphs, I think. But whatever. And yeah, like maybe every like 3 to 5 months I'll make a bunch of glyphs and then I'll restock or something like that. Let's see how much. This is actually the first time I've sold glyphs too, because I've heard it was always a competitive, cutthroat business, and I preferred to focus on markets where people were too intimidated to play too heavily, because it costs nothing to post glyphs, but a lot of the shit I post, it costs a lot to post, and like you can get fucked really fast if you don't know what you're doing. So the glyph market it attracts a lot of competition because it costs nothing to post glyphs, and people really need glyphs in order to power up their characters. So it's very low risk, and there will always be a demand. A lot of these other things that I've gotten into, a lot of people say there's no market for them. They cost a lot to post. There's a lot of risk involved. But through my experience, I've found that actually they're fantastic. Although on this server, they're not as fantastic, but they still work. Let's see how much sales this fucking thing has generated. Okay, so this has generated about 193,000 in sales. Honestly, I'm not that impressed with that number. I'm actually not that impressed with my performance on this realm, but it has done its job. It's made it very easy for me to take care of all my spending needs in the game, and I can guarantee you that like the way that I spend gold is like more than a lot of people, like in a single week, is more than some people spend in their entire lifetime. And I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that just to be a fucking insipid bragging cunt. I'm just saying that you gotta understand, I'm a massive fucking no-life when it comes to World of Warcraft. And, the stuff that I like to do in this game, it's going to require more supplies than what most people want to do. So it's just what it is. And in order to support that, I found a way to do it efficiently, that's all. And that efficiency translated into Diablo 3. It even translated into this one time on eBay where I just did something experimentally, which worked quite well, but I felt like it was still not worth it. And I think it also is going to translate into trading, although trading is a real mindfuck, which no matter how talented you are, you have to get over certain degeneracy within yourself, or you're going to get fucked. Because you're trading, you're literally just trading price fluctuations at this point. You're not actually like buying things with a certain base value and then reselling them to retailers. No, that's not how it works. You're just that's not what's going on here. Because I can't buy a share of Target for like 20 cents and then like sell it to someone for $20 and then do it all over again. You can't do that. All right, that's auction house shit. That's different. Things are a lot more tight in the stock market, and that's okay because there's still lots of price fluctuation and plenty of room to get in a move, right? But that's not what I'm doing here. It's a little different. But both fundamentally are the same thing. You're investing a certain amount, risking a certain amount, and looking to extract a certain reward. And just like on in World of War in the stock market, you don't always know what you're going to get when you get into a trade. Well, in World of Warcraft, you don't always know what you're going to get when you buy something and then try to resell it. Because I can fucking guarantee you that there's a lot of shit I try to resell that just never resells, or it takes too long to resell. And it doesn't even matter because all that matters is what happens over time on average across my entire inventory, across everything that I post in the auction house, and that is a massive profit. I don't concern myself with the individual performance of individual things. I mean, to some extent, I notice, and I'll move away from things that don't have good performance and move towards things that are easier to profit off of. But at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of this shit is just random. You never know when somebody's going to want to buy something and then they'll just buy it, or when they won't want to buy something and don't buy it. I buy shit for pennies and then sell it to people with more gold than they know what to do with. And you never know what their whims are going to be. I don't try to guess it. There's no point. You just got to position the auctions properly, adjust your risk, and know what your costs are, and just do more of what works and less of what doesn't. And that's pretty much what trading is. You get into a position, you don't know what's going to happen next. All you know is what has happened on average over time, again and again, and you kind of do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So enough of that ranting. Back to the social trading thing. Okay, so yeah, like basically successful people in World of Warcraft, not just for getting gold, but for raiding and other things, or PvP. They're just a bunch of arrogant fucking pricks, and I didn't like them. I didn't want to talk to them. I tried to talk to them, wasn't any use. They reminded me a lot of people who, especially older people, but also some younger people who have made enough money that basically the rest of their life is pretty much guaranteed to be comfortable as long as society doesn't break down. They're just... I can't believe they don't see their own arrogance. It's just amazing. It blows me away, It just blows me away. I mean, don't get me wrong. I might have displayed some of my own arrogance in this shit, but I always recognized when I was being a cunt and when I was like attributing more credit to myself than I really deserved. At the end of the day, all I'm doing is repeatedly looking for ways to exploit differences in price to collect a profit. And that's all it is. That's all trading is. And that's what I'm doing in World of Warcraft, is trading, right? And then there was the Diablo 3 money-making thing. Okay. There were a lot of people in Diablo 3 when it first came out, and there was Real Money Auction House who... Okay, I can fix this. They were blown away when they would like find an item, some kind of legendary item, or a really good rare item, and they would sell it. They would just post it up on the auction house, and someone would actually buy it for like $50 or even just $5. They would just be blown away. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I just paid for my copy of the game. Oh my god, I just made $5 just for playing Diablo 3." Like it was just amazing to them, right? And now with my experience in World of Warcraft, I had already mastered to some extent World of Warcraft auction house shit. Uh, when I came to Diablo 3, and I was not impressed by that at all. Like I was like, oh wow, you can occasionally cash out $50 from a game you play like 12 hours a day. Yeah, good job for you. Good job, buddy. I'm not impressed by that. But what I did recognize pretty soon was that actually it was pretty easy to cash out a decent amount of cash regularly from the game and actually make it pay pretty well. And, it wasn't really that impressive overall, but the highest paying job I've ever had was like 12 something an hour. And for me, Diablo 3 generated like $33 an hour. So that's 3 times more than any job has ever paid me. I had a lot more freedom. All I had to do was spend 1 hour a day looking for buyouts, reposting my auctions, and then walking away. And that's all I had to do, and that was my $33 for the day, basically. That doesn't mean that I actually made $33 in that day. I might have made nothing, or I might have made $100, but it averaged out over the month to like $1,200 profits, net profits. And sometimes I'd spend money to obtain an item cheap, or get some gold cheap to buy an item, or whatever. The net was about $1,200 a month or something like that. And once again, I joined a forum, a paid forum, like 30 a month or something, where this guy who taught you how to like flip items for real money in Diablo 3, which is funny. Like the stuff he taught ended up like never being useful for me at all, but still, it was kind of worth looking into. And that forum was interesting because there were very few people of any substance there. Like most of them, you couldn't even verify if they even were making any money at all. And again, there were a lot of like insipid, arrogant blowhards, or just people who thought that they were the king shit of everything just because they could make money in the game. More of the same, like birds of the feather, fucking like, oh look at us, we're successful, we associate with each other. I did meet a couple interesting folks who were not like that, and one of them, it was this Russian woman in Moscow who was generating about $4,000 a month in profits, in similar ways that I was. And apparently her husband earned a lot more money than that, and it's expensive living in Moscow. And she was at home taking care of the kids all day, and like she would just, whenever she had a free moment, she would just do auction house shit. And she was also in the IRC chat and in the forum, and so she spent like all day doing this shit every day, like, or basically a lot of her waking hours were spent doing this. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, like most of the people, they're just, see, the problem is you couldn't really talk to people about this stuff because it's so competitive that like nobody wants to reveal their secrets to you. So the people that are making the real money, or at least most of them, they're never going to say a damn thing. In fact, they're probably laughing at you. They're probably laughing at me. Like, oh, look at this guy. He only makes $1,200 a month. I'm making $30K a month. And there are people like that who generate that amount of money in games. But yeah, like it was just, to me, it was just a disaster. The social aspect of that shit was just, it was a complete joke. There was almost nobody you could talk to about it, because you get fired up about it from time to time, and you want to talk about it, but there's nobody who cares. No one cares. And it's the same with trading. Does the average person give a shit? Absolutely not. The only time they give a shit is when you're rich and you're like, oh, look at me. And they're like, oh my god, I want to be like you. Oh, it's like, you know, a bunch of insipid fucking bullshit. So, and then, you know, now let's talk about real estate. Because I was interested in real estate, certain aspects of the real estate business for a while, and I was thinking of getting into it. I ended up not really doing it because I didn't have what I needed to operate in it properly. Just like my life situation was so fucked up that like I couldn't really do it the way I was in my living situation. But I mean, technically I could do it, but it just wasn't worth it to me. It was just too much stress. But now real estate is where you can really find a lot of social business people because it's such a huge industry. It's like the biggest business in the world. And if you want a perfect example of a place to find a bunch of insipid cunts who think they're better than everyone else, just go to Bigger Pockets. It's like one of the biggest real estate forums in the United States. And you're going to find all sorts of real estate people there. You're going to find realtors. You're going to find people who buy and flip shit. You're going to find commercial real estate types. You're going to find people who are making millions a year, tens of millions a year, maybe even more. You're going to find people who make like hundreds of thousands in a single deal. You're going to be finding people who make a few thousand a month. You're going to find all sorts of types. You're going to find, you know, just sort of regular like middle class or upper middle class types who like, you know, get one or two investment properties and rent them out. You know, you're going to see all sorts of shit. And I can tell you that in my time there, I was absolutely disgusted by like the entire state of the real estate industry. Like, if this is the way that like these people behave and like believe about shit, and if these are their views on shit, and like this is how they consider themselves, these people are absolutely disgusting. Like, you have no idea like the sheer arrogance of people who are in these businesses, of people who have succeeded in real estate, in doing well for themselves, or even people who haven't succeeded yet, or people who want to succeed. Like maybe you know, maybe you don't, but if you don't, like, you just have absolutely no idea of just how just there's the level of condescension, the level of arrogance and superiority complexes. It's absolutely it's mind blowing. Okay, these people, they really do, like, they'll say they don't, but every little thing they do, like, you can just feel that they feel like they're better than like the regular people. It's absolutely terrible. And you know, they'll have all sorts of shit that where they basically justify how they're superior, and you know, they're all acting like, oh, I'm just trying to help, you know, I'm just trying to help you succeed, but they're not. What they're doing is they're finding people who haven't gotten to their position of advantage, and they're basically wielding their status, or they're basically hitting them over the head and sort of kicking them while they're down and saying, like, you know, you are not worthy of having what I have yet, but if you do what I say you should do, then you can join my club and be successful like me. And it's so stupid. And you know, you just see, and there's so many different ways to make money in real estate, and a lot of them are almost like, they're not mutually exclusive, but they're just so different that they're almost like the opposite of each other. And I would see these endless arguments between people who have done well for themselves in different areas of real estate, like arguing with each other about, like, basically saying why, like, this method is complete bullshit and like their method is better. And like, they can't just step back and realize that both methods are great if done properly. It just requires, you know, different sort of things, and it's just a different type of experience, maybe takes a different type of personality or whatever the fuck, you know. It has different risks, different benefits, etc., etc., etc. And no, you just see like all these like arrogant cunts who, have done well for themselves and think that, whatever way they do things is the best way to do things. They're all just arguing with each other. It's hilarious. And some of them were better than others. Some of them recognize the fact that there's different ways to do it. And they're just saying like, yeah, your way is good, but my way is good too. And, but it's just horrible, man. It was just so disgusting. Like, you have no idea how fucking disgusting it was. So, and, when you actually start dealing with property owners and possible competitors and other people in real estate, like, your opinion of the people goes down even more. It's just so cutthroat, and there's so many lies and manipulation and deception and just, posturing. It's so silly. It's just fucking silly. But yeah, I mean, people develop these like entire religions around success, and they'll say stuff like you have to have certain personality traits in order to succeed in this business, and if you're not willing to do this, then you're not going to succeed, and you're never going to succeed, and I can tell you're never going to accomplish anything and you're always going to be the piece of shit you are just because of the way you talk, blah blah blah. And these people, you're going to see this shit, right? And now we're going to move on to trading, right? And this is where it really gets bad, because if there's ever that type of soapboxing and blowharding and kicking people while they're down, it happens so much in fucking trading. It's you look at fucking YouTube channels, you look at fucking Twitter, you're gonna see people arguing with each other, knocking each other down, just because like they have one style and the other guy has another style, and you're going to see people who desperately want to succeed. They desperately want to learn. And this is huge in real estate as well. And I've even seen it in computer games. And, they'll just soak up anything that one of these arrogant blowhards will say. Or just anything that anybody who's successful will say, whether they're an arrogant blowhard or not. And then you just have, oh my God, like these insipid religions where it's like you have to act a certain way, you have to have a certain personality. Otherwise, you're not positive enough, or you're not X enough, or you're not hardworking enough, or you're not this enough, or you're not that enough to succeed. You have to have these moral qualities about you, or certain ethic, or else you will always be poor, or you cannot execute a trading system properly over time. Blah, blah, blah. And it's absolutely disgusting, okay? I just can't stand this shit, and it never stops. And even some of the best traders, the most successful traders, and even some who are relatively okay and not that bad when it comes to this behavior, they still engage in this fucking Kool-Aid sipping bullshit. And it's so annoying. Like, they can't just stick to the trading. They can't. No. They have to make it a religion. They have to turn it into some fucking, some holy quest to achieve some sort of transcendental properties of enlightenment or morality or achievement. They have to turn it into something greater. And it just drives me nuts. I can't stand it. And the problem is, I have to swallow some of that shit because, I mean, by swallow, I just mean I have to go sift through it because, unfortunately, there are some really good traders who trade in almost the exact same style that I'm interested in, or who still have some interesting things for the type of trading I want to do to say besides that shit. And so I kind of have to just shuck it off and kind of put it aside whenever they start going on one of their little rants or one of their soapboxing things, like, if you're not willing to do this, you're never going to succeed. It's like I just have to deal with that and, just kind of let it slide on by. See, I'm not even paying attention to this. I don't even know what I'm doing in this game. Yeah, let's look at the sales here. Not that many over the last... Okay, so from 24... Alright, it's the last 5 days. Yeah, because I recently got a new character to level 80, so, I needed to... My gold spending had to get really high, fast flying mounts and shit. characters get really expensive when they first hit 80. So I had to collect some sales. And yeah. Let's see how many sales this has generated. Oh wow. This is a much newer auctioneer than the Glyph Master guy, and it's already generated 277,000 in gold. Okay. But you know, this is actually one of my favorite businesses in things to trade in World of Warcraft. Enchanting is amazing. Yeah. Let's see what this one's up to. Oh, this is like the newest, most experimental auctioneer. I'm actually selling transmogs. Transmogs have been a thing for a long time in retail, but this is Wrath of the Lich King private server. Transmogs were never a part of Wrath of the Lich King, and some private servers have implemented transmogs to keep the game more interesting, and it's been a success. At first, it was really touch and go for a while at first because it's very expensive posting. You know, like, I mean, my God, how many of these items do I have posted? All right, 680. Some of these items cost a lot to post. You know, they're like armor and shit, plate armor, weapons, and people rarely buy anything, so it's only worth it if you can sell it for really expensive. But it turned out well, and it's generated 176,000 gross. But the profit percentage is probably much lower. My guess is like the profit is like maybe anywhere from 50 to 80%, because the cost of doing business is a lot higher. Yeah. Whew. So let's see. So yeah, I mean, you just have all these insipid cunts, you know, acting superior because they succeeded, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand. Also, ignore some of these levels. I didn't update them in a long time. Although, as you can see, like some of them held very well, like Target right here. But whatever. You know, yeah. The thing with social trading that I noticed was that people who have had a lot of success in it, they become very one-dimensional and arrogant, and maybe they always were one-dimensional and arrogant, and then they just, you know, brought it to a new thing. But because you know, the process of succeeding in trading, mechanically speaking, it's pretty easy as long as you're patient, but psychologically speaking, it's absolute hell. Because you got to get over a lot of sort of deeply ingrained things that make you your own worst enemy. And in the process, you can take a lot of really bad losses. And your psychology can be just completely ripped apart. Your psyche can be ripped apart. And I was no exception to that. And perhaps in the future, I may still not be an exception to that for a while. But you know, so it sometimes feels like when you succeed in something like trading, it's like, I guess it feels like you've overcome some heroic struggle and you've made it to the other side, and now you've achieved enlightenment or something like that. And that's a problem because it enables it brings about some of just the most absolutely disgusting and insipid forms of arrogance I've ever seen. Just the most condescending fucking bullshit. You know, and just this like really ignorant sort of way of going about things, is acting like somehow you're just better than everyone else on some intrinsic level. You know, you've made it to the other side, and now you get to preach about everything and soapbox about everything. But in reality, all you've done is learned a trade. You've learned a practice. That's all you've really done. And I got news for you. Everybody in the world just about learned some kind of trade, learned some kind of skill, learned some kind of practice over the years. You know, it's just a question of whether it's, the only difference is which one ended up providing more profit on the balance sheet is really what it is. Everyone gives their lives for something. But the only difference is based on the socioeconomic conditions and based on whatever else, one is going to be more rewarded than the other monetarily speaking. And, you know, it's just amazing how arrogant people become about, you know, how they've been rewarded by basically just circumstance. Because we've been born with certain DNA, we've been born with a certain brain structure, we've been born into certain conditions, we've been born into a certain system, and naturally the system we're born into is going to favor people with certain genetics, people with certain brain structures, people with certain tendencies, people with certain strengths, people with certain weaknesses. And what a lot of people who have studied things like evolution have considered is that, you know, evolution isn't necessarily a constant positive, ultimately positive growth of traits that are better and better. It's more a case of X worked in these conditions, so X is going to develop more, but if the conditions change, then Y is going to start being better, so it will be evolved more towards Y. And that's really all it is. So those who are successful now, they're successful because the current conditions happen to be favorable for their characteristics. But if the conditions change in some way that is fundamental to that, then they may suddenly be the ones who are getting snuffed out. They may be the ones who are poor. They may be the ones who are oppressed. They may be the ones in positions of disadvantage. So, you know, I'm not really impressed by these people who think that somehow they can credit themselves 100% for what they've achieved or what they've been rewarded by. It's bullshit, okay? And this is coming from someone who's already achieved things that very few have in admittedly a sphere that most people don't give a shit about, but nonetheless have done so in a very rare way, because a lot of people have generated tons of gold in World of Warcraft, but how many of these people have made it so brainless and autopilot that they could literally just go about it while ranting about some shit on some stupid video of theirs, and it's like they're not even thinking about it, right? And they're generating more gold in a week or a day than some people do in their entire lives, you know. And I'm here to say that, you know, it's the height of arrogance to think that just because you as an individual have obtained such results or have been rewarded by such results, that somehow you have some innate superiority, some innate moral superiority, some innate ethical superiority over someone else, when in fact the only superiority you have is that you have certain strengths that others do not, which happen to interact with your environment in a certain way that you were able to exploit. And that maybe the other people, most of the other people, their strengths, their characteristics, did not interact with the environment in a way to exploit it for the same advantage that you did. That's all it is. And this is easy to see if you just study like species of animals and stuff and their environments, and it's easy to see, you know, why they die off, why they grow into a surplus of population and stuff like that. You can see it. It's very simple to see. But when you look at people and these complex civilizations and structures that are developed, it starts to, mud gets put in the water because there's so much more going on. It's harder to see that. But if you just kind of back away from all the dogma, the religion, the hype, the belief systems, the memes, and all the other insipid bullshit, you can see that people with certain characteristics are just naturally going to be rewarded by favorable environments. And that's what it is. And people need to just, you know, shut the fuck up with all their goddamn grandstanding. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that someone who has succeeded in something like whatever has something to contribute. They have something to contribute, and there are things that can be learned from them. But there's just this absolutist viewpoint that somehow they represent some pinnacle of evolution, some pinnacle of enlightenment, when in reality, the only thing they represent the pinnacle of is certain types of attributes that happen to be very useful for exploiting their environment for certain gains. And that's fine. We all do that. That's what life does. That's what biological life does. It exploits its environment for survival and for, you know, bettering its situation. So yeah. So how do I take this back to social trading? Okay, so let's list. So what is some of the degeneracy I see in social trading? Okay, social trading degeneracy points. Points of degeneracy. 1. Successful people being arrogant fucking pricks. Okay. 2. Unsuccessful people desperately wanting to become successful and thinking that the best way to achieve that is by worshiping those who are successful and doing what they say. And this is a big problem. They're bringing no lucidity to the situation. They should be focusing on trading, not on these insipid points of like, oh, you have to like have this morning routine just like me if you want to succeed. Now, fuck off. Okay? Okay, because there are a million types of traders that trade in different ways, different time frames, have different habits, you know. The manner in which you sleep and go to the computer or something uh, is not a fundamental requirement of managing to trade a system. Okay. What are some other points of degeneracy? Okay. I'm going to focus on the ones that I'm guilty of. Okay, so one of the biggest things you're going to see, and this is actually a problem for trading technique as well, is that you're going to see people who, and almost everybody does this, they watch the market, they watch a certain stock, and they just get obsessed with like, oh, it's doing this. What's it going to do next? It's doing this. Like, look at SPY, for instance. SPY is trying to go for all-time highs, right? Come back. It's like, what's SPY doing? It's like, yeah, it's like trying to hit like new all-time highs. I forgot what I made these lines for. I think it's for the option I have. And everyone's like, oh my god, what's it going to do next? It's like, it finally broke out of this fucking range here. It's like, is it going to the moon or is it just another manipulation? It's like, I don't give a shit, man. I don't have time for that crap. You know, I'm only interested in day trading, so, you know, whatever it does is fine. It'll provide levels, it'll provide a setup. Will it be clean? Will it be tradable? I don't know. But, you know, but the problem is, and you know, I think it's almost necessary to do shit like this, but, you know, you'll just waste away 22 hours just obsessing over, like, what SPY is doing, what's it going to do next, and, you know, how can you get more of an edge, and all this other shit, uh, and you'll see people in the chat room saying, oh, SPY, like, for instance, right now, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, the ES futures gap down, or they're down in the off hours because there was a strike on an oil processing facility, and you know now oil is going up, and you know the U.S. indexes are going down, and it's like dude, look at how technical this is. Like it's like barely coming down to the previous day here. Okay, like you're getting excited over like a pretty common technical event. I mean, look at this candle here. Okay? Look at this candle here. It didn't even break the range of this candle. Like, are you surprised that, you know, SPY didn't just like break out and go to the moon? I mean, what do you expect? You know, this like, and it's been pissing around, and the market does piss around, and stocks do piss around and go back and forth all the time. You know, this is purely technical fucking bullshit. And people are like, oh my god, it's like going down again. What's it gonna do next? Oh no, my call swing position is being destroyed. And you know, I'm not acting as if I know what's gonna happen next, but I'm just saying like this is common shit. You know, like, but you just keep talking about it and talking about it, and it's like, who cares, man? It's like it creates levels. Levels are established. Levels can be traded off of in whatever way, and that's it. And that's why I'm only interested in day trading. But and I guess swing trading can work that way too. But you're a little more invested because the news can affect your swing trade really poorly. I mean, it can affect day trades, but you're there to like exit the trade if you have to. So it's not a big deal. But with swing trading, you have no control during certain hours, and you could lose sleep over it or something like that. Whatever. But that's subjective. Some people might lose sleep more over day trading. But people going on and on about like, oh, SPY's ripping, oh, SPY's dumping, and it's like, dude, it's doing the same shit it does all the time. It's like, are you really surprised by this? How long have you even been watching these charts? Like, have you been watching them for like 3 days? Because I haven't even been on the markets that long, man. Like, and this shit is normal. There's just nothing special about what I'm seeing. I'm not saying I can predict it. I'm not saying that I have an advanced understanding of it, even on a technical level. But what I'm saying is that people are getting all excited over this shit, talking about it in chat rooms, and like trying to form a trade decision or thesis about it, and trying to decide like whether they want to be long biased or short biased or something like that. And it's like, you see this shit all day, every day in these fucking chat rooms. And now the better traders, they're usually not going to be like that as much, but some of them are. It's based on personality. But a lot of the newbies are like that even more. And it's just fucking degenerate bullshit, okay? Because they just can't stop. And even the most advanced traders in the world, or at least maybe it's an assumption of mine, but there are a few people who put out some content or who teach who I've seen as being actually, they seem to really know what they're talking about. I mean, even they, like you see them and they're talking about the ups of the market, the downs of the market, and for them it's a lot more technical, and they're not wringing their hands as much. For them it's like, okay, well, if I see this happen, I'm probably going to do this. If I see that happen, I'm probably going to do that. But they just still keep going on about it, and it's like, why? Who cares? I mean, you think I give a shit about the ups and downs of the various markets in World of Warcraft where I'm fucking selling shit? I don't give a goddamn fuck, dude. I got thousands of different items, all sorts of different shit. Like, I don't care. I mean, do I notice? Yes. There's a big matrix in my head of it. I've been doing it for so long that it's like all in memory. I don't have to try or anything. When I notice something is working better, I notice, and when I notice it's working bad, I notice. But I'm not really paying any mind. It's just another day at the office, so to speak. And that's what this shit is. It's another day at the office. I mean, even during that like cataclysmic Trump tweet where he's talking about telling the carriers to like not do business with China or something. And if you read it too fast, it sounds like it says he's sending carriers to Chinese ships, because that's what I thought it was at first, because I didn't read it very thoroughly. Like, yeah, it was a big dump for a small time frame, but was it really a big dump? No, it wasn't. It really wasn't a big dump, okay? I've seen some dumps. I've seen some rips on SPY. I've seen much bigger events on stocks, percentage-wise. And yeah, they were fast, but they weren't that fast. Like, every single day, fucking penny stocks will rip and dump way faster than I've ever seen SPY rip or dump. And I haven't been around that long. Okay, so why is anybody surprised by this shit? Why are their feathers being ruffled by this shit? It's degenerate fucking bullshit. They're being led around by the nose. They're just getting all excited about the up move, the down. It's going up, it's going down. What's it doing now? Is it reversing? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude. Like, chill, man. It's going to do what it's going to do. Just look. All I'm concerned with, and like nobody ever cares what I'm talking about, because all I talk about is like holy shit, it's setting up the same way. It's doing the exact same thing that it always does. It's like these setups work, and nobody cares, because all they're concerned with is about what the action is right now. They're concerned about what way to go now, what way to bet now. They're not concerned with what's happening, what's today demonstrating that has been demonstrated 1,000 times before. No one cares about that. No one cares. Why? Why don't they care? It's degenerate fucking bullshit. Okay. So there's that. What else is a problem with these chat rooms? Another problem with these chat rooms is that they just, and again, I've been guilty of being obsessed with the ups and downs as well. And a lot of times I even knew it was bullshit, that it didn't matter, but I just enjoyed it so much. It added some sizzle to the steak, I guess. It's fun to talk shit about what's going on in the stock market. It's a source of of humor. Um, Another thing is just the amount of time spent in these chat rooms and on Twitter and watching YouTube videos and everything else. I'll be right back. Yeah, like the amount of time spent is just such a waste of time and with very little return. Now, there are some people who run these chat rooms who I think they do it just because they enjoy doing it, or it's just part of their trading routine. And some of these people have been trading for like 7 years, 10 years, even 15 plus years. And for them, I think it's just part of the way they like to live. And I can't comment on their business. That's entirely them. It might be enriching their lives. It might not be. That's not for me to say, because whether it's enriching them or not is happening within their own minds, within their own souls. That's not something I can comment on. But for me, the idea of just like spending 12 hours plus a day in these chat rooms, and a lot of these guys are on their phones, so they might be on the go, they might be on the move, they might be driving around doing things and meeting people, but the problem is it doesn't matter because their attention is fragmented into that chat room. They keep paying attention to the chat room and posting in the chat room, talking in the chat room. So even if they do quote unquote have lives outside of the chat room, it's almost like they don't, because you can't just fragment your attention and think you're having like a full experience in the quote-unquote outside world or the real world. You're not, because your attention is being fragmented. And that's a problem I'm seeing more and more now, is that like people, you never know if they're paying attention to you or if they're paying attention to their phone. You don't know if they're in a chat room. You don't know if they're like even paying attention to the chat room or if they're doing other stuff at the same time. It's impossible to tell because the technology has gotten advanced enough to where you can do all sorts of shit at the same time. There used to be a time where if you were talking in a chat room, you were fucking talking in a chat room because you had to sit down at a fucking PC and do it. And, it wasn't as easy to get or convenient as before, as it is now. I mean, you had to fucking log into your fucking dial-up and shit. And, you might actually even treasure those moments in the chat rooms. And now it's so widespread and mainstream and cheap and doesn't matter anymore. And it's like, you can take it or leave it, right? Either way, it's a form of degeneracy because you just have people wasting away their entire lives in these chat rooms. Once again, some of them, maybe that's the way they want to live, and that's great. And I'll be honest, sometimes I like to do that. And sometimes I can have a great day doing that. But most of the time, no. Just sometimes. But, it's just such a huge source of possible time waste. And the problem is there are very few people actually capable of exploiting trades based on call-outs they see in chat rooms. Like, I'm not one of them. I'm not one of the people who can do that. Because it seems like it's easier to do that, but it's actually harder, because if you're not fully prepared for a trade, you're coming in half-cocked, you could be in serious trouble. You could be, your risk's going to be much higher, your reward's going to be much lower, your probability's going to be lower. You don't have enough of a picture to form a thesis, and you're just being led around the nose by really advanced traders who know what they're doing, just making comments on what they're seeing and what they're trading. Unless you have the experience, the speed that they do, unless you've been watching the things that they're watching, you're not going to be able to keep up with them. I know I'm not. I don't want it. I don't even care what they say. It's a distraction. I have things I'm looking at that I already look at. I don't need anybody to tell me what's going on. Even if it's a fantastic opportunity, there are plenty of fantastic opportunities every day. Okay, so I don't need a goddamn chat room to tell me. And many times I've seen amazing opportunities that were better than all of the opportunities, all the teachers, and all the chat rooms are talking about. And they're all, glorifying some trade that they took that wasn't even as good as the opportunity I saw. And so what's the point of social trading if it doesn't even help you with callouts? But once again, as I said before, you don't need callouts. Well, some people might. It's harder to take plays based on callouts than it is based on just watching shit. Like, I'm telling you, the people who make money on callouts, those people are probably have a lot more experience in trading than it seems. They're probably much more experts than the average person in these chat rooms, because I'm telling you, like, to be able to properly capitalize on callouts in the moment that you weren't even watching, only people who, just have tons of experience and expertise already are capable of doing that shit consistently. And maybe a few like random like Rain Man types or something, So yeah, it's these callouts. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're just watching the chat room to learn and to, get in the markets and be engaged, it's fantastic. You could follow the callouts, analyze the price action, draw some lines, look at what's going on, seeing why they're making the callouts, talk about the callouts, talk about the trade thesis that they're presenting. And the problem is, a lot of these guys, they never talk about it, or they don't have time to talk about it. So they can't even teach you. But you can still put the puzzle pieces together. And a lot of these guys like to shroud what they're doing in mystery and act like they're... That's another thing I see on Twitter a lot. That's another problem. Another problem with the Twitter trading community is that, as if it's a community, I don't even know why people call anything a community. It's just a bunch of crap. But the problem is there are a lot of guys on Twitter who, they're always talking about all these amazing trades they're taking and stuff, but they don't actually show you what their thesis was. They don't show you like what their exact entries and peace outs were. Sometimes they do. They just shroud it in mystery, and they make it all obscure, and you never really know exactly what they're doing or why. And they'll even use some of their own like bullshit fucking lingo, make it sound fancy, and then sometimes people do something not as bad as that, but sort of like that in chat rooms, and so it's like a waste of time, and you don't even know if they're for real. Now, some of these guys in chat rooms, they post their entire accounts. They literally, like, you could see their entire like fucking account balance and like their fucking all their trades on the screen. You could even see them live trading sometimes. These guys are legit, but at the same time, once again, just because someone's legit, just because they have good callouts, just because this or that, very few people in the chat rooms that I've been in have the same trading style as I do. Some of them look at similar things. Traders are so individual that social trading is only useful insofar as that either A, you're dealing with people who are doing the exact same type of trading you are, or B, you're dealing with people who you can learn something from that without which your learning curve would be much, much slower. And, chat rooms have helped me a lot, and I've learned a lot of things from chat rooms, but I'm telling you, it's like, that's only like 2% of it or 1% of it. The rest of it is like all just a bunch of crap. It's either different trading styles, or it's just like random callouts that don't matter because either I already know about them or I don't need to know about them. Because I have my own things that I'm looking at, which may be better, may be worse, but at the end of the day, you only have time to look at a certain amount of shit before your attention is used up too much. There's only so much focus you can have. So what are some other problems with chat rooms? Yeah, so basically, the problem with chat rooms is I see the same characters day in and day out. It's like they're literally there all day, every day. They're fucking degenerates, okay? Some of them make money, some of them don't. Some of them make tons of money, some of them make a little bit of money, some of them make a medium amount of money. There's some guys who make 5 figures sometimes. There's some guys who make 4 figures. There's some guys who make 3 figures. There's some people just barely chugging along. There's all sorts of different people. And there's some people who are kind of shrouded in mystery who either they're making nothing or they're making like huge amounts of money. You never know with these people. Probably a little bit of both. It's like they just never stop. They're always there. And that's fine, but you got to recognize at a certain point that it's like complete fucking degenerate bullshit. And once again, if a certain form of degeneracy is compatible with someone and it enriches their life and that's the way they want to live, that's fantastic. But I guarantee for most, or at least for me, I don't want to be spending like 20 hours a day chatting about what's happening on the market. It doesn't matter. Except on certain occasions where, for whatever reason, I'm fired up about it and I want to do it. Because I think from time to time it's fun to do that. But just not there all day, every day, you know, like it's a routine. No, man, it gets boring so fast. And so for me, a form of degeneracy that I like is World of Warcraft. I could totally see myself playing 18 hours a day. You know, like losing sleep, running a guild. If it's a good enough guild, oh, I could do it for sure. Like, that's a form of degeneracy that I like, you know. Every individual is imbalanced in a certain way, and certain forms of imbalance are more compatible with them. And that's mine. For me, spending 20 hours a day getting all fired up about, like, whether SPY goes up a little bit or down a little bit, and talking about on the market, or talking about it on chat rooms, it's like, that's a bunch of boring shit. Fuck that. Like, who cares, man? Who cares? Okay, so let's get into more degeneracy. Let's go back to my little thing here. Okay, so spending all day in chat rooms, 4, being led around by the nose to different plays. And another thing is I've had issues before where I was like led around a bit by the nose by callouts, and I ended up like taking stupid trades. And you know, it's like it's completely irrelevant, because now if what I'm looking at shows me something, then you know, either it's a trade or it's not a trade. I don't need someone to tell me about something, because I know that I don't have the expertise or wherewithal to capitalize on it, and it's a distraction. In fact, what I've noticed is the best trading I've ever done was always when I was not engaging in the chat room. And the worst trading that I've done, for the most part, has been when I was paying attention to a chat room. You know, because I've looked at Twitter, I've looked at chat rooms, and I'm telling you, not a single trade of mine has ever been helped at all. If you need to look to the news, if you need to look to the fucking chat room on a day trade, you're in big trouble. You should not be putting any money down. Hell, you shouldn't even be paper trading, honestly. You know, because you're trying to trade a system, you're trying to trade a setup. You're not trying to trade what's happening. You're not trying to trade like oh my god, what's the next thing that's going to happen? No, it's not about that. You know, you're trading things that you recognize as happening the same way again and again, and that give you enough probability, that give you enough risk reward over time to demonstrate that you want to be in those trades. You want to be in a position at certain levels. That's all that matters. Okay. What else? Oh, and another thing is there's also a lot of virtue signaling in chat rooms as well. Sometimes people are always, you know, being condescending fucking pricks. So being a condescending blowhard prick piece of shit because you made money. Okay. What other fun things about social trading can I talk about? Another thing is, if you have an opinion on trading on Twitter or chat rooms, I guarantee you that no matter how successful you are, but especially if you're unsuccessful, because then you're an easier target, people are going to try to knock you down and say you're an idiot or that you're a piece of shit or something like that. You know, because your trading religion is not the same as their trading religion. Trading making a religion out of trading. You know, and yeah, like, and if you argue with someone and you're still new, they're just gonna like use that as an ad hominem to knock down your argument instead of actually addressing like the real rational logical points of the argument. Instead of focusing on like what makes it correct and what makes it incorrect, they're gonna focus on your weaknesses to win the argument. They're gonna tell you like just like, you haven't even made any money trading, ha ha ha. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's not a valid argument. It's just an ad hominem. So you're going to see lots of ad hominems, and what's really disgusting is on Twitter, like you're going to see all these successful traders who are like taking pot shots at each other and trying to claim that they're scammers or unsuccessful, or that like they're only successful because of X or Y and Z, and they're not like legitimate traders. It's so silly. It's absolute. It's hilarious. And you're going to see people say shit like if you're never going to say anything negative if you're working on your system and practicing every day, because real successful traders don't have time for negativity. And it's like, dude, get off your fucking high horse. Like, you have no fucking idea what anyone has time for, okay? Because if you're some motherfucker who just made $1 million in a day or two and does that regularly, you got plenty of time for negativity, trust me. Okay, you might be the most negative motherfucker in the world. Okay, I'll tell you who doesn't have time for negativity. It's someone who's still trying to get to that point, who's barely scraping by, and they're in the early stages of the learning process, because then they might not have time for negativity. Okay, once they're rich enough, they're going to have plenty of time for negativity. Let's just say that. Of course, we all have time for negativity, but some less than others. Like me, I engage in it too much, but I don't have as much time for it because I really shouldn't be doing it, because it's just wasting my energy. But if I was rich enough, I could do it all day, every day, and still be successful. Okay? But these guys make a religion out of it. They're like virtue signaling about positivity, negativity, productivity, etc., as if somehow that's the necessary vector for profitability. It's my opinion, and this may or may not be true, that the people who preach about this shit the most, no matter how successful they are, they're displaying just how intellectually feeble they are, and in my opinion, they're probably more mediocre than anything, if that's the way they think, because that kind of thinking, that oversimplistic thinking, does not lend itself well to trading, because it's really just, you don't get paid to have a religious belief about something. You only get paid to take the right side of a move. And my opinion is like, because there's this really arrogant fucking prick who's apparently deleted or name changed their Twitter account, called Maggie Klein. And they were bragging and saying how stupid everyone was and how everybody's too lazy and they've been doing this for 40 years and you got to do the work and all this other bullshit. And then they're like, they put this tweet out that says that they had a 14K week and that they feel blessed. And it's like, are you kidding? 14K? It's like, dude, there are people with like only a few years of experience who make that amount in a day. And you're bragging about that? Like, really? Which is why I've always felt like these people who make these intellectually feeble, oversimplified religious arguments and virtue signaling about what supposedly is going to lead someone towards profitability, I think they're mediocre. Because that type of thinking, and they act like 14K is a lot. It's like, no, it's not, dude. It's not. For what's out there in this market, I mean, a retail trader should be able to make 50K, 100K, a few 100K in a day. Maybe not consistently, but they should be able to do that. So why are you acting like a 14K week is some massive accomplishment? And I'm not just talking about making that. I'm talking about doing it in a risk-adjusted fashion. Yes, 50K, 100K, a few 100K. I think it can be done in a risk-adjusted fashion. You know, as the numbers get bigger, it might become a little more difficult. There might be more slippage. You might have to deal with hostile, you know, players in the market seeing your orders or something, and maybe you have to hedge a little, whatever. You know, it is what it is. But it's you know, these people are mediocre in my opinion, and even if they're not, they're assholes. So fuck them. You don't have to subscribe to their stupid fucking religion just so you can take the right side of a trade or something like that. You know, it's bullshit. Everybody's different. Everybody's wired different. You know, maybe for some people they have to follow some religion, you know, just to give them the right frame of mind so they can be stable enough to do the trades, whatever. But that's not the same for everybody. And from what I've seen in other areas, there's such a wide variety of personalities in these businesses and stuff, and in these professions, or in these markets, or in these, you know, profiteering avenues, and they do things differently. You know, there's no hard and fast rules about how you need to behave or feel, or, you know, what beliefs you need to have in order to, you know, be profitable. It's just stupid. Okay, there's a million and one ways to extract a penny out of anything, or a dollar out of anything. So what are some other points of degeneracy? Feeling the need for approval from some great golden god of trading who can teach you how to succeed. Basically, these arrogant fucking pricks, they basically just, they get all these followers who, you know, want to be like them, and so they try to mimic them in every way, and it's just disgusting, right? They worship them, and if you talk anything bad about them, they want to shit on you because and they want to bark at you because they want to defend their alpha. You know, they're like the beta dog or whatever. It's silly. It's silly. Okay, can I think of anything else? Man, this is a long and very disorganized video, but I think I'll enjoy watching it a couple times before I get bored of it. And maybe even one or two people might see it that actually can get something out of it. But I feel like most people are just like these mindless fucking zombies who just, they're gonna fall prey to all of this shit, and even if they succeed, they're gonna still be choresome fucking cunts who engage in this bullshit. And that's the reason why I think, just like in World of Warcraft and Diablo 3 trading, I think day trading for me is going to be a very lonely path, which is fine, because I didn't come to it to have a social circle. I came to it because I'm trying to acquire currency, you know, in this disgusting socioeconomic condition, to basically get a leg up on the situation for myself after, you know, just decades of disgusting poverty and helplessness and misery, you know. And you know what? I like this shit. I like seeing these squiggly lines, and, you know, being like, oh yeah, look, the squiggly lines are doing this, and they're doing that. And, you know, I'm gonna buy this, or I'm gonna short this. You know, look at what these fucking contracts are doing. Blah blah blah. You know, whatever. I like it. It's cool. I like the idea of having a bunch of monitors and in a dark room, and, you know, seeing all these charts and shit, all these numbers and lines. It's cool. I like that. But I do think that I'm probably not going to make many friends in this. And although I do like some people in this, I do have some respect for some people, and am impressed by some of the achievements and skills of some of these people. I can't say that I particularly gel with any of them to much of any extent. Although some of them can be fun to deal with from time to time. Some of them have a nice sense of humor. Yeah, I just think social trading is only useful insofar that it helped me to sort of get to where I need to go in times of extreme stress and helplessness and misery and you know, and you know, there have been some funny situations, and I plan to stay in these chat rooms. I plan to stay on Twitter. I plan to keep doing stuff on YouTube, but moving forward, I'm trying to learn the discipline of just like not paying attention to it at all, like 99.9% of the time, because if I can't control myself and keep looking at that shit, then I probably won't be able to control myself in trading either. So I'm going to make it a practice to just completely avoid that shit. But it doesn't necessarily translate into trading, but you know, it can still have a negative effect. And I've had this problem in World of Warcraft 2 where I like pay attention to global chat or I try to get in arguments with people about shit. It's all fucking stupid. It's useless, it's worthless. You know, you gotta be very picky about what social things you engage in with something, because my experience has shown me that people are a multiplier effect. They can either make something much, much better and more powerful, or they can, and enjoyable, or they can make it much, much worse. And if you're not getting what it is that you need out of a social situation for some kind of avenue or area, I guarantee you it's going to be destructive.